Welcome back to Learning with me, Ms. Killen, here at MPB. We're still in Unit 10. We're looking at statistics with one variable. Today we're looking at Lesson 6. We are measuring the spread of a data set. I can compare and I can calculate the measure of a spread. We're looking at S-ID.2. Now for today's lesson, you're going to want to have your calculator handy because I'm going to show you a lot of features that calculator has for these statistics problems. So let's go ahead and look. So our first one is kind of a review. We're looking at the temperature during the summer 10 weeks for Gulfport and for Tupelo. We're going to use these data sets to find our 5-number summary, plus we're going to compare their spreads. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take the information for Tupelo and I want to put Tupelo's information into our calculator to show you the different things that we can do with it. So go ahead and pull up your calculator. I'm going to as well. And let's get it set. Now the first thing I'm going to do is go to my stat button and I'm going to go to number 1 because we're going to edit our different lists that we have. So what I want you to do is I want you to put all the information of Tupelo's temperatures in. So I'm going to put 65 and then I have 5 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to put 70. I have 5 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 4 75s. We have 4 80s. 2, 3, 4. We have 3 85s. We have 3 90s. Whoops, make sure that you put the right numbers in or it will definitely skew your data. So we have 3 90s. Then we have 2 95s. And we have 1 100. So I put all of my data in. So now what we're wanting to do is we're going to go back to this statistics button. We're going to scroll right to calculate and look at number 1, one variable statistics. So I'm going to hit number 1 and press enter. We are doing our list L1, so I'm going to press enter to calculate and press enter. So now I have all these different statistics of the numbers that I plugged in. This first number, 77.586, okay, this means my mean. The X with the line across, that means your mean, your average. So then I scroll down and notice that I have my min, which is 65, my Q1 70, the middle or the median is 75, Q3 is 85, my max is 100. So we want to make sure that we have all these different amounts. So the next I want us to look at is putting this on the graph as a dot plot. So let's go to my second stat plot. We're going to go to number 1 and turn it on by pressing enter. Then I'm going to scroll down and over to our box plots. So I'm going to press enter. I meant box plot, not dot plot. So for our box plot, we're going to hit our graph. Now you're saying, Ms. Killen, I don't see anything. So we need to zoom in to our statistics. So let's hit our zoom button, go down to zoom to the statistics, and there we have it. Now, if I want to truly see what information I have, I'm going to press my trace button, and there's my median, 75. If I scroll left, I have my Q1 at 70, my min at 65. If I scroll right, my Q3 is 85, my max is 100. So not only do we have our statistics under calculate in our one variable statistics, we have this information, but we also have that dot plot information. The dot plot, but our box plot information. So we have box plot and we have this one variable statistics. So now we have multiple ways of finding our 5-number summary. So let's go back. So we had our mean for Tupelo at 77.5. We had our min at 65, our Q1 at 72.5. We had our median at 82.5. We had our Q3 at 92.5 and our max at 100. I'm going to double check those numbers. You always want to make sure that you double check twice, kind of like that measure twice, cut once. It's a good thing I did because I do not have those statistics that I had written down. I have 65, 70, 75, 85, and 100. So let's go back. I have 65, 70, 75, 65, 70, 75, and what did we have? 85 and 100. All right. 75, 85, and 100. Okay, so what I want you to do now, since we've done for Tupelo, I want you to go ahead on your calculator and put Gulfport in. See if you can use those same steps that we did for Tupelo to find the different 5-number summary for our Gulfport. As you do on your calculator, I'm going to go ahead and write them up here. So I've got 80 for my min. I have 87.5 for Q1. I have 97.5 for my median. My Q3 is 107.5. My max is 115. Now, when we look at these different numbers, we can compare them. We can compare our minimums, okay? Tupelo was a little lower than Gulfport. Our medians, obviously there's a difference of the middle. And then our maximum, obviously Gulfport gets a whole lot hotter than Tupelo does. So we can compare these different numbers. Now it tells us, let's look at the spread. Now obviously they have different shapes. We have more of a skew for Tupelo where we don't so much for Gulfport. So then it says where we can measure them and we can compare their different spreads. To do that, we look at our IQR and our standard deviation. Now, IQR is new for us. IQR is our interquartile range. Our standard deviation, that is the distance from a data point to the mean. So these are two completely new concepts that we're looking at. We want to make sure that we know that looking at that IQR or that interquartile range, we're going to use our Q3 and our Q1, which is going to equal my interquartile range. And like I said, my standard deviation is a distance. We want to make sure that we know it is distance from data points to the mean. So these are two completely new topics that we are learning. We also want to know that when we're looking at this interquartile range, it is looking for our 50% that's inside, our inside 50%, that's inner ranges. So when we look for that interquartile range, we're looking here. This is our interquartile range, how far it is from Q1 to Q3. That's what that interquartile range is. So let's look at another problem using these same concepts. So here we go. It says, let's look at this data. Let's find the min, max, Q1, median, Q3, mean, and mode. So what I want you to do is on your calculator, I want us to use this new feature that we've learned. So go ahead and plug this information into your calculator. I'm going to do it up here on the board, and let's compare and see what we've got. So here we go. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to put in my statistic button and go to number 1. If you have something in your L1, remember you scroll up, press clear and enter. So now I'm going to put this new data set in. So I have 5, 5, 6, 7, 3 8s, a 9, 10, and 2 12s. All right, so now I'm going to go back to statistic, scroll right, and go to number 1. And now I have all 5 number summary plus my mean. So I have my mean is 8.18, minimum Q1, median Q3, and my max. So let's go back and write some of these down. So we said that my mean was 8.18. it said that my minimum was 5. My Q1 is 6. My median, which is the middle, we said was 8. Q3 was 10, and obviously my max is 12. Now, let's look and see if we can calculate that interquartile range, the range it is of that inside 50%. So I take my Q3 and subtract Q1 from it, and I get my interquartile range. So I take 10 minus 6 is 4. So that interquartile range is 4 from my Q1 to my Q3. So that's how we find that. Now, one that we didn't really look at in our last problem, but I do want to look here, is our mode. What did we say the mode was? It's the one that we see the most. So when I just look up here at my data, which one do I see the most? Absolutely. It is 8. We have 3 of them. So that would be our mode, the one that we see the most. Good job. All right, so let's look. Let's use these dot plots for our standard deviation. Now we said standard deviation was what? The distance from our data points to the mean or the average. Now let's look at A and B and just compare the way they look. A is kind of clustered together and B has more of a spread. So I know that I could say that A is clustered and then B has a bigger spread. Now remember, when we are comparing data, you always want to make sure that you're analyzing graphs, analyzing tables, looking at these different things, because you can find a lot of information just by analyzing the pictures or graphs or your tables. So I noticed that in A I have 70, 80, and 90. I have in B 60 to 100. So if I answered this question about standard deviation, plot blank has a larger spread. Which one did we say had a larger spread? Obviously, B has a larger spread than A. And we can see that visually because I'm spread out from 60 to 100, where I'm clustered between 70 and 90. So we want to make sure that we are looking at these different pictures to get the information that we can. So let's do some practice. The data plots below show the number of goals scored by 3 soccer teams in each of the games they have played this season. Based on the information presented in the data plots to the right, match each description on the left to the appropriate youth soccer team on the right. So let's go ahead and see if we can gather some information just by looking at these 3 different number lines. So the Titans, which are in blue, they had 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, and then 2 9s. My Chiefs had 2, 4, 2 5s, 6, 2 8s, and 9. And then the Ducks had 1, 3, 4, 6, 3 7s, and 8. So now that I've looked at that, let's look at our questions to see what we need to find. It says the teams whose goals scored distribution has the largest interquartile range. The team whose goal scores distribution has the highest median, and the team whose goals score distribution has the greatest mean. So now I know I need to take all this information and plug it into my calculator. So what I want you to do is pull up your calculator, go ahead and plug this information in there. I'm going to work here, and then we can see what we've learned. Remember, you're putting it in your statistics key. You're doing your edits. You want to make sure that you always clear your list. And then you want to put in exactly what we're looking for. So for our Titans, you have 2 2s. You have 1 3, 1 5, 1 7, 1 8, and 2 9s. Then in list 2, let's go ahead and put Chiefs. We can put 1 2, 1 4, 2 5s. We can put 1 6, 2 8s, and 1 9. In our list 3, we're going to put the Ducks. So we have 1, 1 3, 1 4, 1 6, 3 sevens, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 8. So when you go ahead and you pull that one variable statistic, you're going to have to tell your calculator which list to do. Now, Ms. Killen, why aren't you showing this on your screen? Because I don't want you to get comfortable, well, Ms. Killen did it, so I know how to do it. If you're not understanding how to use this calculator, we need to have more practice with the calculator. So go ahead and pull that calculation of one variable statistics, put in your list 1, then get those calculation measurements, put in list 2, get those calculation measurements, and then put in list 3 and get those calculation measurements. I'm going to write what I have for these 3, and you see if what you got for your 3 lists are the same that I got for mine. So here we go. So for my list 1, for my mean, I have 5.625. For my min, I have 2. For my Q1, I have 2.5. For my median, I have a 6. My Q3, I had 8.5, and then my max, I had 9. Is that what you got for yours? If not, go back and check to see what you put in your list and then recalculate. Now let's do our chiefs. So let's get a different color for the chiefs. So I'm going to go back to my statistic and calculate, and then I'm going to go to my one variable statistics. So now in my list, I'm going to change it to my list 2. You're going to do that by hitting second 2, and then you go to calculate. My mean for the chiefs is going to be 5.875. Let's put that decimal there. Then I have my min at 2. My Q1 is 4.5. My median or my middle is 5.5. My Q3 is going to be 8. And then my max, obviously, is 9. So now let's pull the ducks. So I'm going to go back to my stat, over to calculate number 1. Now I'm going to put that list 3, which is second 3, and calculate. So my average for the ducks, let's get a different color, let's use black. So my mean for the ducks is going to be 5.375. My minimum is 1. My Q1 is 3.5. My median or the middle is going to be that 6.5. My Q3 is going to be 7, and obviously my max is 8. So now that we've figured out what our different numbers are for these 3 teams, let's go back to our questions and see if we can answer them yet. The team whose goal score distribution has the largest interquartile range. So what I need to do is I need to gather that information. I need to find the interquartile range for all 3 of my teams. So let's go back to my green. I'm going to take 8.5 and subtract 2.5 from it, making sure that we're using those Q1s and those Q3s. So when I subtract that, I get a 6. Then let's look at the chiefs. Let's go back to red. I had Q1 or Q3, which is 8, minus my Q1 was 4.5. So I take that 8 and I subtract that 4.5 and I get 3.5. Now let's look at the ducks. The ducks had 7 minus 3.5, so 7 minus 3.5, and you get, well, 7 minus 3.5, and you get 3.5. I always double check my math, even though I can do it in my head. You always double check your math, guys. So then it wants to know whose team has the largest interquartile range. That's obviously what? The Titans. So now which team scored the highest median? Let's see. Median is 6, median is 6.5, median is 5.5. So the Ducks has the highest median. So which one has the highest mean? So I'm going to see that that is the Chief at 5.85. So we're having to use these calculator skills to calculate all these different types of numbers. We're looking at our mean, we're looking at our 5-number summary. Now we're looking at interquartile range, and in a couple more chapters, in a couple more lessons, we're going to look at that standard deviation even more. So let's see what we have. We don't want to forget what that interquartile range is. It's that difference from our Q3 and our Q1. It's very important to look at that inner 50% of our data. We know that our standard deviation is that distance, and let's put that again because it's very important. It's the distance from data points to our mean, which we know is our average. We are almost to the end of our Unit 10, so don't worry, we're going to get this. This is some new material, but I promise you that you're going to get it and you're going to be great at it. So as always, have a great day.